From Studio K at Foxborough Cable Access.
Saffron is essentially the stamen of a rose.
Feeling creative?
Sage has a great flavor.
Is your palate needing a new challenge? Well, let's cook with Mike Damasio.
Welcome back to another episode of Let's Cook with Mike. I'm your host, Mike Damasio. Well, we have some great dishes to make for you today. Hopefully they're nice and simple so you can do them at home as well. Our first dish today is an appetizer, or can be used as an entree as well, but it's basically an appetizer. It's crab arancini. Arancini is basically a rice ball. So we'll go over our ingredients here that we have for today. We have two kinds of cheeses. We have a Parmesan and a mozzarella cheese. We have white rice. Make it on the sticky side. It's already prepared, but I make it on a little sticky side. Just to make rice on the sticky side is just a little extra water and a little overcooking. We have the nice lump crab meat. We have some fresh peas, bacon bits, some fresh basil and parsley, some cream cheese, and a little bit of chicken stock. Yes, chicken stock, not fish base. All right, we have all our ingredients ready. This won't take too long to make, nice and quick, as long as you have all your ingredients here in front of you. So let's cook. I'm going to take our mixing bowl here, and as always, get our gloves on. This meal gets a little messy. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take about 2 cups of pre-cooked rice right into our large bowl. And we're going to take an 8-ounce package of soft cream cheese. We're going to take about 2 ounces of Parmesan cheese, about 2 ounces of mozzarella cheese. All right, so this is what the first main 4 ingredients look like in the bowl. Now we're going to start to add some flavor. We're going to start with some of our bacon bits. Get them right in there. Some nice fresh peas, just about a 1/4 cup. I'm going to dice up some basil. Add a little bit of flavor. Always fresh herbs. If you can avoid the dry herbs, you always get much better flavor, and you need less of amount of the herbs to bring out the flavor you're looking for. A little dash of salt and pepper. I have a little salt and pepper mixture here. And of course, the most important part is the crab meat. Some nice lump crab meat. Mix it all in there. And here's a fun part where you could get your kids involved, or if you want to get dirty yourself, but this is when you just start mixing it all together. What you're looking for here is a nice consistency where it's all going to blend real nicely. So each ball that we're going to make is going to have a little bit of all the flavor in it. Now I do have on the side here a little bit of chicken stock, just in case I need to make it bind a little better, but it looks like the sticky rice and the cream cheese are going to pull it together very nicely. So we're just going to keep mixing this up here. And after this step comes the easy part. We're just going to do a little breading station, just like if you were making a chicken parmesan or veal parmesan, which is one of my favorites. So this looks like it's blended pretty well. I'm going to change my gloves here since we have a mess. But that's the blend. You can see all the flavors are in there. You can see everything we've done so far with the basil and the cheeses and the bacon and the basil and the crab meat. So now I'm just going to set up a breading station. It's very simply just some eggs and breadcrumbs. Get my fire back going. So we're just going to beat these eggs so they're nice and smooth. We don't want them sticky because we want to make sure all of these balls go nice and easy into the egg, coating nicely, and then into the breadcrumb, and then right into the oil. So what I have here is a pan of vegetable oil. Heat it up. If you have a gas stove, you just got to keep an eye on it that it doesn't get too hot. Here we have an induction cooker, which will maintain the temperature at a nice 425 degrees, which is a great frying temperature. All right, that's nicely beaten. Get some new gloves. So what we're going to do now is make out of this mixture, the crab mixture, we're going to make some little balls. And you can make them as big or as small. Too small isn't typically a good idea. Medium size, you want to make them like a meatball size or a little smaller. So we're just going to take a few. Take a little portion like that. Make it into a nice little round ball. Drop it in your egg. Drop it in your breadcrumbs. These are just Italian breadcrumbs. I'm going to make a few so we can enjoy some as a group later. Do about 6 of these. Very simple. As you can see, again, once you have all your ingredients together, this is about a 10 to 15 minute preparation and about a 5 to 7 minute cooking time, as you'll see once we're done with the cooking. How many we got on staff today? 7? 6, 7? We'll make a ball for each of us. How's that? So funny story was that I came up with this actually last night. I was just going to do the shrimp scampi today, but I was going through the cabinets trying to find something for dinner. I saw the can of crab meat in there. I had most of these ingredients available to me that we're using today. We had some leftover rice from a stir fry I made the night before. I said, let me try something different here. Put it together, and of course my wife and son were ecstatic about it, as they both love crab and they both they love Italian cooking, of course, and of course, who doesn't love anything that's fried? At home I have a deep fryer, a nice little portable one. That's great for home cooking. If you have small kids, it's a great investment having a little fry cooker at home. Chicken tenders. Things taste different from when they're fried and from when they're baked. But as you can see, I'm just making these little balls. Let's get this out of the way. These are great right here. All right. Put all this mess aside. All right, we're just going to put them in our oil. Oh yeah, as you can see, oil's hot enough. You're getting a nice little cook right off the top. And what I'm going to do now, these are going to take about 4 or 5 minutes to cook. Clear off the cutting board here. Just want to keep an eye on them, especially because it's hot oil. Please try to be careful in your kitchen. You do not want it to go up in flames. You don't want to spill it over if you have gas, because it will burn and cause a fire. That's not what we need. So I'm just going to get a plate ready here. Have a little garnish of parsley. I'm going to take some of this parsley, cut it up for later. And this meal is just about done. Nice, quick, easy appetizer, and they're delicious. In these rice balls, you can put anything in them. This is with crab. You can do it with ground beef. You can do it vegetarian style with any kind of vegetable, any of your favorite vegetables. The important step in this is to make sure that it's very well bound together by the cream cheese and all the cheeses. And these are going to be, these are looking great. Got a good camera on these? We have a good camera? Yeah, beautiful. Good stuff. And in just a moment, these will be done. So, as you can see, this one right here, it's starting to crack. That means we're in great shape. It's ready to come out. You don't want them to burst. A, it'll get your grease all dirty. And B, if they're bursting, it means they're done through and through. The heat's coming through and it's starting to break the outer shell. So we're going to get a little bit of paper towels here. Just so when they come out, we get some of the grease off of them before we put them onto our plate. And ladies and gentlemen, after 5 short minutes, this is what we have for our crab meat arancinis. Great appetizer. Again, if you make enough of them, it's also a great entree. And here is dish one for today. Our crab meat arancini, or crab meat rice ball. Very simple. We're going to come right back and start our shrimp scampi for the day. And enjoy these. Hope you give them a try. We'll see you back in a few moments. Okay, so we just finished our crab meat arancini. Delicious appetizer for our meal that we're going to be putting out right now, which is a shrimp scampi, my version of it. There's many versions of shrimp scampi, and this is how I like to do mine. So our ingredients again, I have them laid out here. We call that mise en place, everything in place. And so we're going to serve it over some penne pasta. I have these beautiful 16 by 20 shrimp. 16-20 shrimp means how many shrimp per pound. So 16 to 20 shrimp per pound. I have some flour, parsley, lemon, salt and pepper, diced onion. We're going to have some garlic, scallion to finish, some diced tomato. Butter makes everything better. Some fresh oregano, basil, white wine, and some chicken stock. Okay, so let's get started. First, I'm going to do up some of my mise en place for the dish because everything's going to happen real fast once we get going. I'm going to do a small dice here on my onion, or small brunoise. Won't need a lot of this for what we're doing, probably just about half of that onion. And I'm just going to make little dice. And this is the way I do things at home too. You know, I think it's great to have everything in place. I usually like to set up on my cutting board everything that I'm going to be using into little piles, so when it comes time to putting it all together, I'm not rushing around looking to do anything. Garlic in my shrimp scampi. Typically, I like to cut my garlic really small, but for the shrimp scampi, I like little bigger wedges, a little bigger slivers than I traditionally do. So I have a nice little thin cut there. And I'm just going to do nice, teeny julienne, I guess you could call it, for the garlic, because the garlic obviously is a big part of a scampi dish. Okay, so get some more garlic in there. So this is more, again, of a julienne strips. I'm going to push that off to the side for ready for later. And I'm going to dice up these tomatoes. Take the tops off so you don't have the little knot in your dish. And again, these things too, always cut on the flat side so things don't roll around. I see too many people trying to cut on rounded edges. Not good for fingers. Again, this is just some small brunoise. Add a little color to a otherwise bland dish, bland and color dish. It's going to be flavorful, I can promise you that. So there we go. So now we have basically most of the ingredients we need to get this dish started. So, step one, we're going to turn on our cooktop here. I'm going to put a little bit of oil and some butter. So the first step we're going to be doing is I like to flour my shrimp. What this does in the end is it gives a little bit of thickness to the sauce that goes in, the scampi sauce. It thickens it up, and also it gives a little crunch, as you'll see. I like to toast up the shrimp initially. It gets a little crunchy, gives it a little texture for when you're making the dish. So I'm going to season the flour a little bit with some salt and pepper. Just mix it up there. I'm just going to put the shrimp right in there, get them a good coating. As you can see, I've already cooked my pasta ahead of time. Any pasta will do, angel hair, fettuccine, egg noodles, spaghetti. I'm using penne. All pastas are good for this dish. I'm just going to get a plate here. Oh boy. Thank you for going away from me. Just to put our shrimp out on, get them off the flour. Our butter's melted nice with the oil. Now, one thing you got to be careful with butter is that it does brown up quicker than oil does. So you want to make sure your heat is high and hot, but not too high and hot that it's going to burn your burn the butter in the bowl. Okay. 'Kay. Put that aside. Okay, so I'm just going to put these in here for now. Get these nice and crispy. This is going to take a few minutes. While we're waiting for these to brown up and crisp up, we can do some more prep. I think that's enough shrimp for everybody. Everybody all right with 2 shrimp each? Should be good. Clear out some of the mess out of that camera. So those shrimp, we're going to get them nice and brown. The oil's nice and hot. Clear up my cutting board a little bit. I'm kind of meticulous about this, even at home. I always cook with gloves at home, and I always like to keep my cutting area and cooking area nice and clean. My family might not agree with the mess that they find, but it is something how I like to do it. Keep everything nice, neat, and clean as you go. Clean as you go. Big rule in food service. So these shrimp looks like they're ready to be turned. Just gonna turn them over. I'm gonna throw a little more butter in here once I flip them all. Get them a little more crunchy. Then we're gonna, once I get them good on both sides, we're gonna remove them, and we're gonna do all the vegetables and create the sauce. So I'm gonna add a little more butter into that. Very good. So I'm going to continue with some of our prep here. I'm going to slice up some of the basil. The way I like to cut up herbs like that, you could do it neatly, or I just like bunching it up. Gives it a nice ribbony type of texture to it. With a dish like shrimp scampi, you definitely want to see the herbs. You don't need them really small, so you want them in there so you can get the flavor of them all. A little bit of parsley. Same thing, rough chop. You don't have to fine chop the parsley. The larger the herb, the more flavor you're going to pull out of it. And the scallion. This is for more of a garnish at the end of the dish. Very nice. And the last herb I have is some nice fresh oregano. Try to pull as much as you can off from the stem. Some herbs stems you can cook with, others you cannot. For instance, rosemary, you do not want the stem in the dish. It's like eating a piece of wood. Oregano, it's okay if a little bit of stem gets in there. It's very flexible, it's very soft, and it does cook down with the food, so no problem biting right through it. All right, so as these shrimp are getting beautiful, yes, as they're browning up nicely here, one last flip, and we're going to pull them off and set them aside for the time being. And these are nice and crispy. We're going to go back to this bowl dish here. Just going to remove these. I'm going to bring the temperature down on this. Every time I do a show, I'm challenged with this electric cooking here. I'm a fire guy over electric, so it's always nice. We're just going to set the shrimp aside for the time being. Now we're going to get into making the sauce here. We're going to keep all that butter, all that delicious flavor of the shrimp in there. We're going to start sauteing up our onions, our garlic. It's about a tablespoon of each. Going to let that cook down just a bit. Let that cook down so that it gets a little bit translucent. I have some nice white wine here. That's going to deglaze the pan. Julia Child would have kept half of that for herself. As you can see, it's already thickening up a little bit just from the little bit of flour that was left in the pan. You're going to get a nice sauce in there. It's going to be beautiful. So we're going to let that reduce just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of our basil. I'm going to reserve half. I'm going to cook half of the basil now. Half of the oregano now. Get it in with all that good stuff. Crank the temp back up, bring it back up to a boil. I have this delicious pasta here. It's already cooked, ready to go. I like it on the al dente side, which means a little bit of a bite. It's not soft, it's not mushy. Each pasta has its own, has its individuality. And we have a new guest. Hi, welcome to the show. All right, so we have the sauce is cooking really nice. We are going to add the shrimp back in. It's nice and reduced. I'm going to add the shrimp back into the dish. Excellent. Now I'm going to add a little bit of chicken stock. A lot of people say, why don't you use a fish stock or clam stock? Chicken stock has the most flavor. Say about a 1/4 cup. We're going to let that come back to a boil. I'm going to put these tomato pieces in. Cutting board is getting overwhelmed with flavor. Get some lemon juice in there. Put my hand over it, so try to avoid the seeds from going in there. You don't want grandma choking on any of your seeds here. It's a nice half of a lemon squeezed in there. I'm just working it in, trying to catch all the seeds in my hand while letting the juice flow through. Once this comes back up to a boil, it'll all thicken once again. Do a nice little garnish on the plate. I'm just using the end of a scallion here. I use this on one of my other shows as a nice little garnish. Very nice. So this is cooking up nicely. It'll just reduce down just a little bit. I'm going to add some more of the oregano and basil. Love nice fresh ingredients. That's awesome. Looking delicious. As this is simmering, you can see this the liquid is starting to thicken up a little bit with the flour that's on the shrimp and that was on the pan. As it boils down a little more, we don't want to watch this pan boil for 4 or 5 minutes, so we're going to, with the magic of television, just skip right to where it's beautiful. And it's beautiful. Look how beautiful that sauce is. We're going to add the pasta, which will also thicken up the sauce. And this is the electric problem. Off and on once the pan comes off. Let that heat up for 1 second. Now a little bit of the scallion. We're going to reserve that for the end as well. Salt and pepper. I know. Come on. All right, we just need a nice clean dish here. Sorry for the background noise. All right, and now it is the plating. So what I like to do when I'm plating also is to kind of keep the good stuff back. Get the pasta on there first. Pick up my shrimp. One more for good luck. A little bit of fresh parsley. A little bit of fresh scallion. And there you go, 10 minutes. A beautiful shrimp scampi dish, good enough for everybody. Again, this is, couldn't help myself. Shrimp is succulent, got a little bit of a crunch to it. You can taste all the flavors. The basil, the oregano, the white wine, the chicken base, and of course, the most important, the shrimp. Great stuff. I look forward to doing this again soon with you. Have a great day, and thanks for staying with us here with Let's Cook with Mike. Have a great day.